Hear that? The birds speaking. That is God's creation. We're going to study God's word today in the middle of the great outdoors because it's a beautiful day. We've been rolling through our series called Live to Give, living a life of generosity. And here in week 4, we're going to be giving the annual report of what God has been doing at the life here at Christ Wesleyan Church. But I'm not going to talk about that here today in the devotional. If you want to check out the annual report, you can go ahead and go to cwc.life and check the amazing things that God has done. But I want to focus more on my life verse and my ministry verse. I shared a little bit of this in my annual report in my sermon on Sunday. But I want to tell you why this verse, found in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7, when the Lord told Samuel, the Lord does not look at the things that people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And let me give you a little bit of context. Samuel is a prophet sent by God to anoint the first king, which was King Saul. But King Saul became very evil, and his heart fell away from God. And so God said, Samuel, I want you to choose somebody else, and I want you to go to the house of Jesse. And the Lord tells Samuel this, backing up in verse 1. I have chosen one of Jesse's sons to be king. But Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hears about it, the current king, he'll kill me. The Lord said, take a heifer with you and say, I've come to sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what to do. You are to anoint for me the one I indicate. Now, isn't it interesting that God wasn't specific? God told Samuel, go to this certain place. When you get there, be obedient, sacrifice, and then I'm going to show you what to do. I'll tell you which one. It's interesting he doesn't say, it's David the shepherd. He's not going to be there, but Jesse's going to omit him because he's the youngest. He doesn't think he measures up, but he'll be tending to the sheep. He's the one. No, he just says, go. When you get there, I will show you what to do. I think sometimes God tells us, listen, let me worry about the moment when you get there. All I want you to do is I want you to go to the place I've shown you, to the place I would want you. And we know that by being in tune with the Spirit, because the Spirit speaks to us just like the Lord spoke to Samuel. But then he said, listen, when you get there, I'll let you know what you need to do. Don't worry about that. Just be obedient to me, and through your obedience, I will speak to you. So when they arrived, Samuel saw Eliab and thought, surely the Lord's anointed stands here before the Lord. Eliab was a great warrior. He had the physical appearance of a warrior, and he was the oldest too, so it would make sense. He was probably the most respected. He had what was due to him if Jesse would die. But the Lord said to Samuel, so Samuel almost chose wrong because he focused on the outward appearance. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I've rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And then Jesse said, okay, no one is here. Do you have another son? And Jesse was like, yeah, well, I have the youngest, David, but he's way too young to be anointed. He's out in the fields. Isn't it interesting that the Lord chose a shepherd to help usher in the great shepherd in Jesus Christ? Verse 12 says, so he sent for him and had him brought in. And I just love this. He was glowing with health and had a fine appearance and handsome features. So sure, from the outside, he would be the one chosen by God. But God, the point here is that you don't look at the outward first. You look at what is inside. And I love that Jesus continued this in Matthew chapter 23. The character of God doesn't change over this 1,000 of years when Jesus is really giving it to the Pharisees. He says, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee. First clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will also be clean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to the people as righteous, but on the inside you're full of hypocrisy and wickedness. This is why I love the fact that God says, listen, you need to look at the heart just like I do. Because when we do any type of ministry and when we obey God to go somewhere, sometimes we can let the outward appearance, maybe it's the way somebody looks, maybe it's they're wearing their past mistakes, or they're in the middle of an addiction, so their appearance seems like it's maybe unkempt. For whatever reason, our society has put a lot of emphasis on the outward appearance. And so we as believers have a mission. It doesn't matter what anybody looks like. Sure, what's on the inside comes out in the transformative actions, but where we go, who we choose to be a light to, because where does light shine the greatest? In darkness. If this world is dark, this world is evil. God said, listen, you need to be the light, believer. So if this world is dark, maybe it's our fault as believers where we're not reaching into the darkness, because maybe we might judge the outward appearance of certain situations. No, we don't go there. We don't do that. But we're hiding our light when we only shine light where there's light. And so here at Christ Wesleyan, in my life, when I see ministry in the future, when I see every interaction that I have, I need to know I don't look at the outward. I look at the inward. And that makes all the difference. Go in grace, go in peace, and remember, the Lord doesn't look at the things we look at. The Lord looks at the heart when sometimes we focus on the outside. So I implore you, look at the heart, because it'll make a difference. God bless.